Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the Bataan Death March, which is going to take place in the Pacific theater of World War II. So, this event is going to take place only 4 months after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which was the events that caused the United States to join World War II in the first place, when they sent fighters and bombers to destroy the Pacific fleet that that the U.S. had, and destroyed their navy for the most part. So while the U.S. is regrouping and getting ready to engage with Japan, getting ready to fight Japan, Japan is being very aggressive in trying to take over lots of Asia, and part of that is going to be this country called the Philippines. Now, if you remember back during the Spanish-American War, the United States actually wins the Philippines from Spain and takes it over. So at this time, in the 1940s, the U.S. actually owns the Philippines, which means U.S. troops are in the Philippines. So what happens is the Japanese will invade the Philippines and quickly take over their capital, causing our general at this time, General MacArthur, who is actually the head commander for the United States Army, the head general. He is going to have the U.S. and Filipino troops that he also commands retreat back to this area of the Philippines called Bataan, as you see on the map right here. So fleeing from here to here. So what ends up happening is these troops that fall back, 78,000 of them, are going to be completely surrounded by the superior Japanese army that is there, and they are going to be forced to surrender, which is the largest amount ever to surrender in U.S. history. So from there, they are going to have to go on what people call a death march today. They are going to have to go from the bottom of Bataan, where they fell back and surrendered here, and follow this line up, as you see on this map, through this rocky terrain, tropical terrain, blistering hot weather, with little food, little water, and march all the way up to this area here. While they were there, if they could no longer walk, if they were dehydrated, if they were hungry, they barely got anything, and so many of them died on this death march. And from there, if you could no longer walk, they would bayonet you in the back, leave you to die, so on, so on. A ton of Americans died, and a ton of Filipino troops also died on this death march. They would go up to this area here, and they'd be shoved on this train in these boxcars, and they would be forced to go up to this area on the map that you see here, and then forced to march another 7 miles to a prison camp where they would work until they would later be rescued by the same general who is going to end up fleeing and will later come back with reinforcements to help. So this was the Bataan Death March. Terribly tough event for American troops to deal with, and you can see in these images that so many of them that were forced on this march and forced to stay in these prison camps just completely lost the composition of their body, their skin and bones, as you see here. These were, strong American troops that were here. So this event is remembered by many for being a desperately difficult journey for American troops, where they starved to death, faced blistering hot temperatures, and were forced to go stay in a prison camp where they were tortured and mistreated. Thanks, guys.